Sometimes, the heaviest inheritance isn't money, but the truth hidden behind it. That's what Helena Duarte thought, her hands trembling as she opened an old dusty box in the attic of the family's ancestral home. The house smelled of damp wood and suffocated memories. Afternoon sunlight slipped through a small window, illuminating floating dust like silent ghosts. Inside the box, among yellowed photo albums and forgotten letters, there was a thick paper envelope, sealed with cracked red wax. On the back, a name written in firm handwriting, Alvaro Duarte, her uncle, the man everyone respected as a businessman, but who always carried an air of mystery. Helena's heart pounded in her throat as she tore the envelope open. She knew this wasn't just paper. It was emotional dynamite. Its contents would forever change not only her life, but the fate of her entire family. And indeed, it would. Helena was 36. A psychologist, she worked tirelessly in her small clinic, counseling broken families, couples on the brink, lost young adults. Irony or destiny, she thought, because her own family had always been fractured in silence. She grew up hearing she was the forgotten child. Her brother, Eduardo, had always been the star. Handsome, eloquent, gifted at winning people over. Their parents beamed with pride whenever they mentioned him. Helena, on the other hand, seemed invisible. She was the girl who studied late at night, helped at the grocery, saved every coin of change. Her uncle Alvaro, her father's older brother, orbited the family like a powerful figure. A businessman, owner of real estate, land, investments. Nobody knew exactly how much he was worth, but all knew he had influence. Alvaro always looked at Helena differently, never spoke of it, but in his eyes there was something, pride mixed with sorrow, as if he carried an impossible truth. When Alvaro died, a month earlier, the family buzzed with anticipation. His formal will left most of the inheritance to Eduardo and a symbolic portion to Helena. Nothing surprising. Everyone expected that. But nobody knew about the envelope. Eduardo Duarte was the kind of man who fooled entire crowds. Charismatic, charming, with a gift for words. At family gatherings, he made everyone laugh with exaggerated stories. He knew how to flatter the right people at the right time. But Helena knew better. Behind the mask, there was cold calculation. Since childhood, he had mastered the art of manipulation. Toys went missing and turned up in her room. Stories were twisted to blame her. Small lies always worked in his favor. It was like leaving a fox in charge of the hen house. Everyone believed he was a protector. In reality, he was the predator. And now, standing before a fortune, Eduardo prepared for the biggest deception of his life. Despite everything, Helena always believed in him. They shared the same blood, didn't they? She remembered lending him money when he swore he was in trouble. She never saw a cent returned. She remembered signing as a guarantor on a loan because he insisted it was safe. She ended up paying it alone. Trusting Eduardo was like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. No matter how much she gave, it vanished instantly. She knew something was wrong. Deep down, she always knew. But family loyalty silenced her. After all, who would ever believe her against Eduardo, the perfect son? That envelope in her hands would change everything. Helena unfolded the hidden will and read Alvaro's words. His handwriting was steady, but sorrow bled through every line. The document declared Helena was not the daughter of the man she thought. Alvaro was her real father. Her hands shook violently. The floor seemed to vanish beneath her. Suddenly, countless memories made sense. Alvaro's protective gaze, the discreet gifts, the unexpected visits to her school, the silent moments where he seemed to want to say more but didn't. And it wasn't just sentiment. The will left a significant part of the fortune to Helena, not out of pity, but as her legitimate inheritance. To the daughter I could never acknowledge in life, but carried always in my heart. Alone in the attic, Helena wept. They were tears of rage, sorrow, and relief all at once. At the official reading of the will, The lawyer unfolded the familiar document, the one favoring Eduardo. The family nodded approvingly, as if it were only fair. But Helena stood. She placed the hidden envelope on the table. "There's another document." The room froze. The lawyer read it aloud, words that rewrote their family's history. Eduardo went pale, then flushed red. "This is a fraud," he shouted. "She forged it. She's always envied me." His voice was sharp, desperate. He accused, twisted, tried to make Helena the villain. He called her unstable, greedy. But this time, something was different. His mask had begun to crack. Aunt Clarice spoke first. "I remember. Alvaro always said Helena was special. He protected her like no one else." Cousin Renato added, "I once saw him cry after talking about her. It all makes sense now." Murmurs spread. Memories resurfaced. Puzzle pieces fell into place. Helena's story was no invention. It was the truth long buried. Eduardo, cornered, started to lose control. His arguments grew weaker. His composure crumbled. It was like watching a wall full of cracks finally collapse. The lawyer had no choice. The document was authentic. Helena was Alvaro's daughter and rightful heir. Eduardo not only lost the inheritance he thought was his, but saw his debts and past manipulations dragged into daylight. Helena cried again, but now with relief. No longer the forgotten daughter. Now recognized, not just on paper, but in her very being. At last, she understood who she truly was. At the final court hearing, the judge was solemn. Money can buy silence for a while, but truth always finds its way. Eduardo lowered his head. For the first time, he was utterly defeated. Helena didn't celebrate with extravagance. She bought her parents' old grocery store and transformed it into a community center. Her clinic thrived. But her greatest victory wasn't financial. It was freedom, the freedom of knowing her story, owning her identity. One calm morning, she stood before the restored family home and thought, "Real family doesn't manipulate, doesn't hide, doesn't steal. Real family protects." And you? Have you ever uncovered a truth that changed your life forever? Share your story in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because here, you'll always find stories that provoke, move, and transform.